Hi, and welcome back. This is going to be the last video on how to create a form with HTML. There's going to be more videos on how to handle now the user input from that form with JavaScript and how to utilize the data with PHP. But in this video, we're going to cover the multi-value input from user, also known as checkboxes, and we're going to use again the input tag. It's only now with type checkbox, and here's a URL for more information. But before we do that, let's quickly review what we did in the previous video. And in the previous video we looked at special text inputs, namely of type email and type password, that could be useful for a login form. And let's quickly review also the solution to the previous assignment. In the previous assignment, I asked you to look at the information on the input tag at the following URL and make the password field to limit the user in inserting not more than 10 characters. Now the solution to the first part of the assignment is the max length attribute right here, which could be used with the input tag. And the second part of the assignment was to provide your user some feed-forward information about your expectations for their input on the password field, and that can be done as was shown in the previous video with a placeholder attribute. So in this particular case, we ask the user to use at least 8 characters when it comes to the password field. But when it comes to new material, as aforementioned, we're going to cover the multi-value input with checkboxes. So let me show you what the end result is going to be. So the end result, you can see that right here at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to ask the user to let me know what devices he or she is using. So as you can see, with checkboxes, you can obviously have more than one choice to choose from. Let's go back to our code. So this is where we left the form, and as mentioned in the PowerPoint slide, we're going to use the input tag, but now for attribute type, we're going to choose the checkbox. So I'm going to immediately actually save the HTML file and refresh the page, and as you can see right here, this is the result of having this tag with this attribute. Now there is more information that is missing from that tag. Namely, as we mentioned, we always need to have a name, and since we need to have something descriptive, I'm gonna give it a value of devices, and the ID, since this is gonna be about a PC, I'm gonna give it again a descriptive value. Now the last thing to add in the input type checkbox, as we did in previous input, as we did in the input radio, for example, or the input submit, is the value. In other words, what values should the form return if the user checks this checkbox? And so in this case, I just request the form to return the value PC, but it could be anything else, such as a number like 1 or 0, or just the letter P, or the capital letters PC, or the words personal computer, right? But so it could be anything that you choose. Nevertheless, I'm going to choose for the time being the 2 letters PC. Now, if I'm going to save the form and refresh the page, the user actually does not see anything changing on the interface, and this is something somewhat awkward, obviously. So for that reason, to improve the presentation, as aforementioned, we can use the label attribute. The label attribute needs to match the label tag, needs to have the for attribute, and the for attribute value must match this of the ID of the respective input tag. So if I would refresh now the page, you can see that this is the label for this checkbox. If I click on the label even, the checkbox is checked. And if I would click again on the label, it's unchecked. Now, since I'm interested in the variety of devices that my user can have, I'm just going to copy and paste the previous two tags, and then I'm going to edit them. So another device that I would expect my users to have is the tablet. So again, I'm going to edit the values right here. Now here an important point to mention is the name attribute needs to be the same because this is the way to group the different values for that particular field. And what you need to change obviously is the ID and the value attribute. And I'm going to add one more device. So I'm going to add, I would expect also my users to have a smartphone. So I'm just going to add also that. So I copy pasted again the tags, and I'm going to edit what is necessary to edit. So if I would now save, make sure to change the ID and value and keep the name attribute the same. I'm going to save the file and refresh the page, and as you can see here now, I have something to work with. Well, as you can see, it's not the ideal presentation, but for that reason we know how to improve that, and that would be by using the field set tag. So I'm going to enclose all of the previous tags within the field set tag, and I'm also going to add a legend tag to improve the user interface. So after I added the field set and the legend, I saved the file. So if I would refresh now you can see that the UI is obviously improved. And that's how you can use checkboxes for multiple value inputs from the user side. Now the last assignment for this series of videos on HTML5, of using HTML5 for web forms, is a more conceptual one. So the first part of the assignment is I would like you to think, when should you use checkboxes, when should you use radio buttons, and when a drop-down menu with a select tag, as we saw in previous videos. So what are, in other words, the advantages and disadvantages, and in which cases do you want to use checkboxes, in which cases do you want to use radio buttons, and in which cases would you want a drop-down menu. So think of the different use cases and try to write those down, and look also for information on the internet. There is a plethora of information on the internet on this topic. So compare then your thoughts with information that you might find on the internet. Then to extend actually the videos and the assignments, I would like you to style the form with CSS. This goes out of scope for this series of video lectures, as well as try out some other fields. So for example, another interesting new one with HTML5 is the input type range. So have a look again on w3schools.com on new fields that are introduced with HTML5, and try them out. So with that, we conclude the series on HTML5 and creating a web form, and a new series of videos will deal with JavaScript and how to validate and provide feedback to the user with JavaScript.